Dear students, we are studying the chapter The Making of Regional Cultures, and this is the third part of this chapter. In this video, we'll discuss about pirs and temples, fish as food. So let's start the discussion with the topic pirs and temples. What do you understand by pirs? Pir, a Persian word, pir is a Persian word that means a spiritual guide. So the pir is a person who is considered as a spiritual guide or religious guide. From the 16th century, people began to migrate in large numbers from the less fertile western Bengal to the forested and marshy areas of southeastern Bengal. You know that at that time western Bengal was considered less fertile and southeastern marshy area was considered very fertile and it was forested area. So the people migrated to southeastern Bengal. As they moved eastwards, they cleared forest and brought the land under the rice cultivation. So they started rice cultivation on land. Gradually, local communities of fisherfolk and shifting cultivators, often tribals, merged with the new communities of peasants. So the people who came from western Bengal and to this area were peasants and farmers. And here the people used to live. They were doing the shifting cultivation and they belonged to fisherfolk and they were tribal people. So in this way the new communities of peasants were merged with these communities. This coincided with the establishment of Mughal control over Bengal with their capital in the heart of the eastern delta at Dhaka. Officials and functionaries received land and often set up mosques that served as centers for religious transformation in these areas. The early settlers sought some order and assurance in the unstable conditions of the new settlements. These were provided by community leaders who also functioned as teachers and adjudicators and were sometimes ascribed with supernatural powers. People refer to them with affection and respect as peers. So, dear students, as we have discussed the word meaning of peer, so peers were the teachers and adjudicators who played a role as guide, spiritual guide in the society. This term included saints or Sufis and other religious personalities. Daring colonizers and defied soldiers, various Hindu and Buddhist deities, and even animistic spirits. Animist, or animism. This is the attribution of living soul to plants, inanimate objects, and natural phenomena. The cult of peers became very popular and their shrines can be found everywhere in Bengal. Bengal also witnessed a temple building spree from the late 15th century, which culminated in the 19th century. We have studied in chapter 2 and chapter 5 about this that temples and other religious structures were often built by individuals or groups who are becoming powerful to both demonstrate their power and proclaim their piety. Many of the modest brick and terracotta temples in Bengal were built with the support of several low social groups such as Kolu, who were oil pressers, and the Kansari, bell metal workers. The coming of the European trading companies created new economic opportunities. Many families belonging to these social groups availed of these. As their social and economic position improved, they proclaimed their status through the construction of temples. When local deities once worshipped in thatched huts in villages gained the recognition of the Brahmanas. Their images began to be housed in temples. The temples began to copy the double roofed that was known as dochala or four roofed chauchala structure of the thatched huts. We studied about this Bangla Dome in chapter 5. This led to the evolution of the typical Bengali style in temple architecture. So it was known as typical Bengali style in temples. In the comparatively more complex four-roofed structure, four triangular roofs placed on the four walls move up to converge on a curved line or a point. Temples were usually built on a square platform. The interior was relatively plain, but the outer walls of many temples were decorated with paintings, ornamental titles, or terracotta tablets. In some temples, particularly in Vishnupur in the Bankura district of West Bengal, such decorations reached a high degree of excellence. The next topic is fish as food. Traditional food habits are generally based on locally available items of food. Bengal is a riverine plain which produces plenty of rice and fish. Dear students, you know that for rice, water availability is very necessary and for fishes also. Understandably, these two items figure prominently in the menu of even poor Bengalis. Fishing has always been an important occupation, and Bengali literature contains several references to fish. What is more, terracotta plaques on the walls of temples and viharas were Buddhist monasteries, depict scenes of fish being dressed and taken to the market in baskets. Dear students, Brahmanas were not allowed to eat non-vegetarian food in Bengal, but the popularity of fish in the local diet made the Brahminical authorities relax this prohibition for the Bengal Brahmanas. The Brihadharma Purana, a 13th century Sanskrit text from Bengal, permitted the local Brahmanas to eat certain varieties of fish. In this way, fish was the most important part of food for all the communities in Bengal. The next topic is emergence of nation states in Europe. Till the 18th century, people in Europe saw themselves as subjects of an empire, such as the Austro-Hungarian Empire, or members of a church, such as Greek Orthodox Church. But from the late 18th century, people also began to identify themselves as members of a community that spoke a common language, such as French or German, Italian, etc. By the early 19th century, in Romania, school textbooks began to be written in Romanian rather than in Greek, and in Hungary, Hungarian was adopted as the official language instead of Latin. These and other similar developments created the consciousness among the people that each linguistic community was a separate nation. This feeling was strengthened by the movements for Italian and German unification in the late 19th century. Before the unification, Italy was divided into seven different regions, and Germany was consisting of a confederation of 39 different states. So these two countries were unified on the basis of languages. Let's see some figures related to the above topic. Figure 11, this one, a double roofed thatched hut, about which we have discussed before a short while, and this one is four roofed temple with a tower. This is the tower. Here in this figure there is no tower in this double roof thatched hut. Next one is figure 13, Krishna with gopis. In this image figure you can see terracotta plaque. This is terracotta plaque from the Shamarya temple, Vishnupur, situated at Vishnupur. This one, figure 14, fish being dressed for domestic consumption, terracotta plaque from the Vishalakshi temple, Arambagh. This one, you can see fish is being dressed here. So dear students, in this way we have completed this chapter. I hope that you understood the topics discussed in this video.